and you are the first guest that I'm speaking to. So I'm kind of guessing that I'll figure out a lot in this conversation, and we might be setting the tone for what is to come. But thank you for indulging me. In joining me in this conversation. And where I would love to start is in the beginning, because I think about this a lot, about the heritage that you gained from your parents. So my first question would be, what was written in your heritage on the day you were born? So what of your parents was written there?
Yeah, thanks. Well, no, thank you for having me. And I am delighted that you decided to move forward with it because I think that there was a moment in time when you weren't going to. So at some point, you can tell me what prompted you to push past whatever was blocking you.
You want me
Um,
to tell you now?
so, yeah, yeah. Yeah, go for it now. Yeah, yeah.
Might as well. Might as well. Um, I think um, I struggled a lot with whether this was still relevant in a world where I feel like um, I, I think you and I are both probably babies from like the 80s, and the world looked different then than it does now, and so perhaps my lived experience isn't what the youth of today experiences. So I wondered whether there was this relevancy to it that I gave it. So that held me back. And then I think personally, I was also worried that it might go to spaces where um, perhaps I would make other people feel uncomfortable, where, we're talking about um, race, identity, how you feel. And I think they were things that were weighing um, heavily on my mind. But I have wanted to have conversations like these from my early teens, probably. Um,
Okay.
and when I reached out to you, I mean, gosh, I feel like that is like a year and a half ago when I originally wanted to do it. I It just didn't go away. So I just thought, Sas, just have the conversations, and in doing them, you'll find whether there is friction or whether actually it's what more people also want. Um, and yeah, just give it a go.
If it's not going away, then you gotta give it a go, and you step into it, lean into it. So yeah, I think you said it quite nicely, and I'd not thought about it. You said I was given my heritage. That's cool. So my father is Malawian and Black Malawian, and my mother is white English, and um, that's where I get this complexion from. This hair, this name. This name is a Malawian name. It places me very much firmly and squarely in northern Malawi, a section of northern Malawi that not just Malawi, like northern Malawi. My name is a very northern Malawi name, and is testament to my father just being super proud of being Malawian, where he comes from, where he came from, and so I've got my first name, which is Wanangwa, and then my middle name, which is our like the family name really, which is Kamanganjara, and then depending on who you talk to, there's another name in there. My dad's name, another name that he would go by, Wazy, and sometimes McDonald. And then my final surname, which is Mkandawire. Again, just a very northern Malawian name. So we're from the Tumbuka tribe, Chitumbuka tribe, and our history is that we came down from the Congo Basin, um, and took up space in northern Malawi, where the resources were good, and my middle name, actually, Makandawire, is a name that speaks to us having plenty as a people. So it means to tie hunger. Jalo is hunger. It's like to tie hunger. Basically, we weren't hungry. We had a lot of produce, things to eat, which is great. Obviously. So yeah, that's that on my Malawian side, and then my mum was in Malawi because she was doing voluntary service overseas. She's an English teacher, and met my dad through church, I think. And yeah, I was born in Zuzu in the north of Malawi. My brother followed to 3 years later, and yeah, my mum did a good stint out there. She was there for, I think, nearly 12 years altogether. So,
Wow.
and yeah, really was out there at a time when the country was post-independence. There was a lot of hope, a lot across Africa, actually. And she initially did the VSO work, and then because she stayed, she then started working directly with schools there. And then in the latter years before we moved back to the UK, she was doing the hard yards. She was living in the village. She was no electricity, no running water. Have to walk 12 to 15 kilometers up to the nearest town, Rumpi, to send a telegram back to the UK to tell her mum that everything's okay.
Wow.
So my mum was like, my mum is got some stones, man. Like, she was cooking with the women. She was eating sema. She lived that village life. So she really understood Malawi and gave it everything. So yeah, that's me. But she's from Rugby in the Midlands in the UK. So she found herself out there because the trajectory she was on here was her family were a military family. So my grandfather, her father, was in the military, was in the war. My granny, her mum was a nurse, and then both her older brothers went into the military. And I think her eldest sister was somehow skipped it, but it was that, I think that she was also destined to go at some point, and my mum was like, I just don't want this. And so applied to VSO and got given Malawi. Didn't know anything about the place. Turned up and ended up staying a long time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Can you tell, for people who don't know, where Malawi kind of sits on the map?
Yeah, so Malawi is southeastern Africa, and we are directly below Tanzania, next to Zambia, and kind of next to Mozambique. So kind of nestled in those three countries. They kind of border us. I suppose our main defining feature is that it's a very thin country, sliver of a country, and it has a lake that runs almost the entire length of the country. So like 3/4 basically. One of the great Rift Valley lakes, and so we benefit from having that, and that kind of is I suppose the main landmark that you would associate with Malawi.
So you grew up, you spent your early childhood in Malawi, and you know a lot of your heritage, I guess, because you've actually lived in both places. Whereas for me, for instance, I grew up in the Netherlands. I, went to school there. I spent by choice later when I was about 18 a year in Cameroon, but
Mm-hmm.
I haven't actually, do you know what I mean, lived that life that you speak about. Um, how how is it for you to hold those two cultures that you've experienced in such depth um, in your person, I guess.
Yeah. So ultimately, I think at times I've struggled um, with that. Um, and that would, but have benefited massively as well. I think that this is an interesting question, really. I think when I was younger, very aware that had a long, difficult name, and was always trying to hide from that. So my name is Wani, but that would be called Granny, Fanny. I mean, you name it. Like it just turned into all sorts. Uh, so I was trying to step away from that. And also at the time, early 80s, mid 80s, in England in rugby, there were no other African families. So there's a big Jamaican presence, or a larger Jamaican presence, but no Africans. So when my dad, being fiercely patriotic and very proudly African, sort of no one else really to share that with or talk about that with, apart from my brother, who's 3 years younger. So essentially, and so we didn't go. And the other thing was we didn't go back to Malawi because we had no money until I think now I was 9 and he was 9 and 12, and having left when I was 5. So I do remember. I remember coming to the UK and being a bit freaked out by escalators, not seen those before. The weather, the food. I hated the food. And being forced to sit and eat your food until you couldn't leave primary school and first school until you'd eaten your food. And I was like, what? I mean, what is this? What is mashed potato, mushy peas? I still don't like mushy peas. And lemon curd. You ever had like lemon meringue pie? I'd be like, what is this? Like these flavors. Yeah, I mean, it's like this really fake intense like lemon flavor. And obviously, used to mangoes and rice and sema, and then having to like stomach some of this stuff was just like, oh my word, what is happening? So I mean, thankfully my dad did a lot of cooking, so we were still able to like still connected with our heritage in that way. But in terms of actually being there in the space and talking, communicating with other Africans, Malawians, no, didn't get that at all. Had a lot of friends from the Caribbean and South Indian friends, but no Africans. And so it wasn't until we go back that we started to reconnect with that. But then it was at a point when that was also tricky because we then kind of had some formative years in the UK. And then you go back to Malawi and you go, this is where you're from. You go, okay, but now I don't speak the language. Malawi Tambuka was my mother tongue, but then, moving to the UK was all about assimilation. So spoke English at home and at school, and therefore lost the ability to speak Tambuka. And so you go to a place, you're like, this is where I'm from, but I don't speak the language. I know the food. So the cultural points I can connect with, but there's also lots of stuff coming back to me going, I don't fit. Also being from there and being brown and it being very, very clear that I'm Mzungu, I'm white, but also me then looking at myself and going, I know I'm not white, and we've spoken like this. And then the other thing was that made it a bit tricky was that my dad would want to spend all the time at the village, understandably where he's from, where his house is, and where his all the family was, where he'd done farming and all his cultural reference points are, and so that's fine. So we spent the whole 6 weeks there, or 5 weeks of the 6 weeks holiday, and then like a week at the beach. And we wanted it to be the other way around. If it had been the other way around, I think we'd have felt a bit differently about the place. But I understand why he did that. And so my brother, as a result, felt much less connected with Malawi than me. because, you know, you go to the village again, there's no running water, there's cockroaches, like it's jarring, it's different. There's no TV, you know, you have to wait till your food's cooked on a fire. If you don't like it, then you can't go to the shop and buy pasta and make that. Like it's just, yeah, that's it. Like that's it. So yeah, it was just kind of navigating that and just realizing there was things going on that meant that I suppose I liked lots of things. So I could, yeah, open to lots of references. So you have that going on with my dad, and then you go to my grand's house and it's very British, and you've got like jam sandwiches and flag waving and, you know, listening to the Queen's speech and all these bits. So very rich from both sides, but also then quite confusing because yeah, where do I fit in all of this? Where do I sit in all of this? And I don't think and it was only until I think like maybe early 20s that I started to be much more confident in heritage, in who I was. I moved away from rugby. I felt like that wasn't a place that was helping me really either in terms of my identity or who I was. Very well, no other Africans there, and you're either, yeah, kind of, well, I felt othered, and that's more of a recent term, isn't it? But, you know, I'm not Jamaican, not from the Caribbean, so who are you? Which is interesting. And yeah, when I moved north, went to a bigger city, really enjoyed that exposure to meeting different people, but also didn't meet many other Africans there, to be honest with you. But it was at that point then, you know, I then went to Malawi with my dad again. He invited me because he wanted to show me where his dad had walked to. He'd walked from Malawi to South Africa for work in the 50s and the 60s. That still goes on, actually. I mean, I'm still talking to my cousin now. A lot of the boys from the village go down to South Africa. The brain drain from Malawi is insane.
Wow.
And neighbouring countries. So we did a trip, him and I, to South Africa first of all, to Cape Town, Joburg, and then back to Malawi. And this was the first time I'd spent any time with him properly. Yeah, and so because, I mean, the other thing to mention is my dad was diagnosed with HIV. He contracted it in Malawi early 80s, and then we didn't find out until late 80s in the UK at that time. I mean, yeah, all the stuff, propaganda around HIV, we don't know what we know now. And him being the only Black African as well in a small town like Rugby, you know, he really, really struggled. He had a very hard time in the UK those early years, and couldn't get a job despite being educated. And so I think these are the things that I saw my dad really struggle. I didn't see a man, and again, so this is interesting. I just saw a man that was like almost like beaten down by life, really. He managed to get a job eventually after, I think it was like 7 years. He worked at the Citizens Advice Bureau, volunteering. And it was only then that I think he helped a hospital consultant, someone high up in the hospital, and said, why are you here? You are a smart guy. You've given me the best care and service I've ever had. What's the story? And so he told him, said, you know, this is what I am. Farmer initially, lectured in agriculture. He also went to Bible college as well. So he was a pretty qualified to clergyman. And then they were like, wow, well, I think you shouldn't be here. Let me try and get you a job at the hospital. So he got him a job as a hospital porter. And so then there's this kind of thing about, and then he managed to he'd moved into working as a administration clerk in the X-ray department. So yeah, I think my dad was just struggling with being here, experiencing racism. There was kind of internal family stuff that was going on, that he wasn't treated very well as well. I don't think also at times he may have helped himself. You know, there's always two sides to a story. But yeah, so he was someone that was, just operating maybe like 50%. I just hadn't seen the best in him, and so we didn't. And then as a young lad, so I was just someone at home, and we didn't really connect that much. And so when he asked me to go to Malawi with him this was my second year at uni, I think, I was like, I don't want to go. This is going to be long. Anyway, I went with him, and it was the best decision ever. It was just an incredible trip. I saw a completely different light to him when he was back in Malawi. Vibrant, energetic. People stopping walking down the street because he was a teacher. Thank you for teaching me some Mkandawire. It's just like, oh my God, what is this? And then also, I'd seen that it was important for him to show me where his grandfather had been. And so it was only at that point that I then understood the richness of where I was from, really, and how important it was, and started to connect with it. And I spent time with my cousins in the south, which was a bit more developed, and my cousin George had a car, and we drive around and listen to Afrobeats as it was then, but also T-Pain. That's embarrassing, but American hip hop. It was just I just saw a completely different side to Malawi and Africa. I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. I feel really at home here, and that was it. I was back in. And so we did another trip 2 years later, where we went back to South Africa again, and then back up to Malawi. And that was, again, fantastic. So that was a shift that our relationship needed. And so it was only from that point on then that I was I suppose, really proud. Before, it was kind of something that I'd hidden a bit, or I just was a bit down on Malawi. I think maybe because my dad, the experience he'd had, but also you never saw Malawi at the African nations, or you'd say Malawi, people say where? There's no, if it's Nigeria or Cameroon or other bigger African nations, that people could reference those at least, but Malawi's just where is this place? It's South Africa as well. But so lots of things going on, and I understand why they were happening with him, etc. But I suppose that's my journey of, I suppose, working it all out, really. I mean, and I should also say, really stepped into, enjoyed, having the English side there to be able to, meant that I could. Got lots of mates, and drinking tea and all that. I was a product of that, and so it's important to acknowledge that as well. But I think I hadn't really acknowledged and stepped into the Malawian side until I'd had that experience with my dad, and it was brought to life in a different way. And that personal connection with him and where he was from, and just seeing him outside of the shackles of the UK, I think is how we were able to rekindle our relationship and go from strength to strength.
What I heard in your story was, obviously you lived there until you were 5, had a deep connection with the country. It was all you knew until you moved to England, and you kind of had to learn about a new culture, its tastes, its peoples, who your father was in the new, structure of England, who your mother perhaps was in the new structure of England. I guess your brother, who was 3 years younger, he might not have had that foundational experience like you had in Malawi. And I guess it's interesting as well, I always find, is that as siblings, you grow up in the same household, you've got the same parents, but your experience of the whole can be completely different. It's definitely the case with me and my sisters. And I find it interesting in your story, where I see that your connection to Malawi, and the depth of your heritage on that side, it sounds to me like it has given that a depth to your character and your being and your
Mm.
perception of the world?
Mm. Yeah, I think that's probably right. Yeah, nice to hear that reflected back.
Um, and I think that's part of the reason why I wanted to have these conversations as well, because I'm interested in, when I hear you speak about um, how different the experiences are in Malawi to in England or the UK, and how you must see the world through such varying lenses, having had those two varying experiences. How do you think it helps you navigate life? I mean, that sounds like quite a big question, but
Mm. I think I can answer that though. And what I suppose think the Malawi connection, what that's given me is a huge appreciation for life, and in a developing nation and an up and coming nation, there are lots of challenges to be faced, and I'm able to tolerate a lot of uncertainty. I'm able to tolerate and thrive in chaos. I'm able to nothing. I say nothing. It's very hard to get me down. I know that these might just be individual character traits, but um, I think also, I hit. I don't want this to sound trite or that people aren't. Each person's have experiences of their own and framed from their own experience. When you go there and you see how your family's living and you see the conditions and what people are working with and still, you know, getting on with. Sometimes I find it very hard to be over in the UK and hear people complain about what's going on for them, and wanting rigid structure and wanting things to be planned out. I think it's just, yeah, just this ability to just get on with it, give it a go, find the good in everything, or at least just push through, and just keep going. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this answer, but
and maybe this would help answer your question as well. Um, is that your wife is of mixed heritage as well? Was it Nigerian,
mm,
British?
mm,
Um,
mm.
and when because you just said, I don't know if these are individual character traits or if this is something that comes from, those wildly differing perspectives in one household, essentially. Do you notice this from your wife as well? Does she recognize that pattern too? Does she have that resilience or that gratitude or that wider framework to work with as well?
Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it. I like that wider framework. Yeah, I think that is what I'd draw on actually, and um, I think it really does help that we have similar reference points. Her interestingly, she was left Nigeria at the similar age as I did, but her father stayed in Nigeria and so has had much less contact with him. And Nigerian family as a result, that's shifted in later life. So she was much more in tune with, let's say, out of tune with the Nigerian side of things. But we do and have these shared reference points of, food and what it being fiercely proud of where we come from and our name and heritage and those sorts of bits. So that has helped certainly. And I think that it's been interesting because there are some bits where we don't quite see the same viewpoint on things, and that would be about I suppose this like my dad was just dedicated to Malawi, like, and I suppose I am, but I'm having to rein that back a little bit because Helen and I have a slightly different viewpoint on that. I think that she hasn't got the same connection with where she's from, and so he's like, I'm not sure that I would be doing what you're doing because I wouldn't get to see the same, or it doesn't give me the same feeling, or there's just the disconnect there about the impact of that and the importance of that for her. She sees it's important for me and recognizes that it's important for our kids and for that needs to happen. But for her, it's slightly different. She doesn't connect with it in the same way. Yeah. But I think, back to that point about what it's given me is just a greater perspective, wider perspective on things. And like an ability to try and connect with people on many different levels. I think that's also maybe why my work goes quite well, is that, my mum's sister married a guy that was, in the Masons, I think. So when we would go around for dinner, I was exposed to not high society, but upper middle class ways and routines and ways of speaking, patterns of speaking. And even though I didn't go to a good school, and then obviously you've got the school I went to wasn't great, so you're just mixing with just a real melting pot. So I can talk to anyone about anything on any level, and we can connect on any, just as a chameleon in that way, just to be able to almost navigate any room or any situation, and find some connection and reference points. So that's I'm super thankful for that. But there are the times when I would struggle, and this is interesting as well. There were times when I'd spend, I just get sick of being in the West. I'd be like, I just need to go. I got to go back. So I'd oscillate between the two, and then I'd spend time in Malawi and be like, oh no, I think I'm topped up now. Like I've had enough. I need to go back. And then I'd be in the UK for a bit and be like, no, I'm done now. I need to go back. And so just moving between the two, and
It's
not
funny. I
quite
don't know if it's implicit or
fine.
if you even realize that you said it, but you said when I've been in Malawi, you said, okay, I've been topped up now. And when I was in the UK
Yeah.
for a long time, it was almost like it drained you. You had to go back to Malawi. Do you see?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I see the difference. Yeah, definitely. Like, and that, I don't want to be disparaging about life over here. Like, it's given me a lot and continues to, and I chose to raise kids here, etc. But I think there's just something about Malawi that just gives me life. And for all the problems, but also it is equally effing fantastic. And that is the reason why I smile when I talk about it, why I push it, and fiercely proud of where I'm from now. And my boys have the same. And my wife also loves Malawi more so than Nigeria. And, it just, I take one of, so it really brings me up. Yes, it really fulfills my cup.
And interesting. This might be a longer question, but some years ago, I listened to a YouTube I think it was a TED talk. Um, I think the lady is called. Um, I have to Google it. I think it's Selassie. But anyway, she did a TED talk about don't ask me where I'm from, ask me where I'm local. And it was all about that
Oh,
question, you
nice.
know, the dreaded question that anybody gets who's not visibly, quintessentially British. Where are you really from? And we get
Mm,
that question in the UK, but I get that question also when I'm in Cameroon. Do you get the question
mm,
also in Malawi, or do people, you know, I don't know what Malawi's like. Are they in general more used to, you know, mixed people, and it doesn't come up, or how do you navigate those questions on both sides of the fence? Where are you really from?
um, yeah, so in the UK, so people always, oh, see my name and go, well, where's that from? So then, previously I'd really talk it down, but now, um, yeah, I'm from Malawi, born there. Um, my real name's Wanangwa. Uh, yeah, just to give them a bit to think about, really. Um, and I use it to try and connect with other people as well who might be from who I think of the diaspora. So um, I was in, when you first contacted me, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Where's this get from? Like, what's the connection there? And then when
Mm,
you told me, I was like, oh, that's amazing. So using that to kind of build connection and seek out connection. That's pretty interesting on LinkedIn. I'm a Pan-Africanist, and so being able to connect with other people who um, maybe got a similar background to ours, and I've loved that. That's just been a point of difference, but also a point of connection and celebration. So I've really been leaning into that a lot lately. So that's great. And then in Malawi, it's more interesting. And I've grown to just a tougher skin around that. Really, in Malawi, when I was young, I'd be very proud to say that um, what my name was, and uh, people in Malawi would laugh. They'd be like, "You're joking. We can't have a white
mm,
boy called Wani Mkandawire." And I get really offended and like get my driving license out and go, "Look at this." And let's say if you get stopped by the police or the road checks, and they're like, what? They're like, Imwe, Imwe, Zakun. Like, come and look at this. Like, almost like, look at this guy. Like, I can't believe it. Look how what he looks like, and he's got a proper Malawian name. It's almost like a bit of a freak show. And that used to really annoy me when I was it. But then I said, you know what? That's great. Actually, I don't care. I can push in the boundaries here now, and so it means that I'm remembered. And um, you know, I when I was living there as well, but more recently, I became worked hard on my language skills and was more fluent again. And so then you're having banter with them and being more memorable. And um, so I kind of own it, and I'm proud to own it. I just before I would let it own me, the weight of it, that I wasn't fully black, or that I was a bit embarrassed to have a black dad, or my mum was like it. Just but now I don't. It doesn't bother me at all. So I step into it and just go use it as a point to challenge people's perceptions. In Malawi, they don't really find, more so now, but less. It's still not very very common to see mixed parentage or mixed kids. More so now in the towns, I suppose, but particularly back when we were young. Yeah, it's not very often at all. Not very often at all. Thankfully, one of my good friends also has the same background as me, Ziggy. His dad and my dad were friends. They farmed together, so I do have someone who I can who has got a foot in both camps, and so we can share jokes about the UK. We can also share jokes about Malawi with my Malawian cousins are putting stuff on like WhatsApp stories, like funny pictures and stuff. I send it to Ziggy, like we're laughing because it's just him and I just get the jokes, like Malawian sensibilities and sense of humor. So that's great. That is so cool. So yeah, I'm really thankful for having him around, because he kind of bridges that gap as well and means that I'm not alone in that over here. My brother doesn't because he doesn't quite have spent the time there and the understanding of culture. Like I don't quite have that with him, so I'm still educating him on that, and he's very into it now. So yeah, that is good. But having Ziggy is got the same reference points. He spent longer in Malawi actually, but it's meant that I've got someone who knows that I can just go to, and he just gets it. He just I don't have to talk about anything. He just gets it straight away.
Yeah. And I remember one conversation where we sat down and you told me about your trip to, I think it was Morocco. Do you remember that conversation where you were like, oh, I think that was the first time? Anyway, I'll let you tell it.
Yeah, well, I thought Morocco was an interesting one, and that's because, yeah, kind of, I think I could walk down the street and people thought I was Moroccan. So they're either talking to me in French or they're talking to me in Arabic or what's the other language they're speaking? Can't remember. And so it was then that I had to then. So they would that's interesting. They would try Arabic first, then they try French. So they were going through all the possibilities. So it was like, no, he must be, and then get to English. Oh, he's English. Oh, he's not. Oh, that's interesting. Where are you from then? I'm from Malawi. Oh, right. That's interesting. So that was cool. Like I appreciated that. You know, I can be here, just walking down the street. No one's looking at me. I don't really feel like in Leeds anyway. I feel like but I also am aware that I am different. But there it's just like blend right in. And then if I go into some places, like my Arabic was okay, order tea and sit down, people just leave me alone. Like it was just fine. So I liked that. And so I've been to Morocco quite a few times, because just blending in, you know, when's the last time you blended in?
Yeah, yeah, it's wild. That is really wild. I've never been to Morocco. Um, I do really want to go and experience that. I don't want to keep you. I mean, I feel like I could talk to you about this stuff for, days on end. But yeah, I think that's where I would want to ask you, based on that conversation, that TED talk from that lady, where are you, Wani, local? Where do you feel, where are your places, your place? Where do you truly feel, um, I'm a local here, rather than where are you from?
Yeah, so I think, yeah, particularly with, I suppose, the relatively recent passing of my dad, I do really, I really feel, I think about the village every day. I think about the people there. I think about life there. I think about the music there. I think about, obviously I'm also WhatsApping people there every day as well. Like it feels like I live there. And so that's, I think the if I didn't have those constant connection points, and it was being brought to life by my dad 20 years ago, then I'd be really struggling. I'd be, yeah, you're getting on all right in the UK, but there's this massive part of me that would not be alive. So, yeah, I I think I'm maybe hopefully answering your question in the right way. So I'm living here, but I'm mentally over there,
Mm,
and navigating this place well because I've been here a long time and I'm well versed in it. Um, but also, longing to go back. Like I'm well overdue a trip, and I really feel it. Um,
Mm,
we're talking like we've had rain for feels like months over in the here at the
mm.
minute, and it's like, oh man, like I'm really needing a trip back. I'm really needing a trip back. So I won't ever leave it this long again. I mean, COVID and kids have meant it's been this long, but this has been the longest for, yeah, since my early 20s. So that's been hard. Um,
How long has it been?
last time I was there was 2018. We were supposed to go in
Oh God.
2019, and then COVID happened, and then yeah, it didn't just kind of got out of the habit of it, and now two small kids later, the, it's expensive to take our family, isn't it? But I'm going to go this year. I've got coffee to see. I've got to sort out stuff for my dad's estate, and it's just I got to go back. Take my brother as well. Just do those bits, top up again, and then set it up to go back every year. That's how I need to do it. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, we got Afro beats on every day. We got them, just as I'm wearing I wear the badge every day. I mean, it just, yeah, yeah. So proud to be from there and try and, yeah, bring it to life all the time.
Yeah, I I appreciate your story um, so much, and I appreciate having you in my life in some capacity. And I hope you, I hope you know that. I really, really appreciate it. Um, and for anybody who does not know, they might be able to see it in the background in the frame. It's a little picture that says Malawian coffee because essentially you run a business that beautifully blends both countries actually.
Mm.
Um, you source your coffee from Malawi. Was it your dad's farm? And then you sell it in the UK.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I think that also, I suppose, speaks to, um, the relationship I've got with both countries, in that I realize like, well, I've got a foot in both. So let me maximize that and use that to its best. So the coffee is grown in Mzuzu, my hometown where I was born. And so we work with some farmers in an area where my dad had a farm with my other friends, as in the Manitis, a place called out in the Tigueri. So there's coffee is sourced from there, but then also I have land that was passed on from him that was given to him by the chief, where I'm growing coffee on, and that's ready. Well, we had a small harvest last year, but moving forwards, we're going these two different varieties going from Tigueri and also from that's the place in Uzumara, which is a bit further, like 50 kilometers from where I'm from, in a place called Bwengu, which is kind of even further north in Malawi. So yeah, like that's it, keeping on the family tradition of farming in an area that's really important to me. It's also close to the school where my mum and dad taught, actually, Poesi. You see it in Jacko Mountains. Like, it's just all the reference points that I need. Yeah, if anyone talks about Provenance, I know that place. I know that place. And yeah, it's just, there's a time in my life when I'd have been embarrassed to talk about it, but now I'm like, this is it. Let's go. Let me take you there. And the first step is tasting the coffee. And so yeah, it's making the ancestors proud. I'm doing the farming. Yeah, it's just, I'm not verbalizing it very well. I'm hella proud to be doing it, and I needed to do it. Like, I was looking for it. I think I was searching for this kind of way to connect both sides of me, really, into something that was quite meaningful.
Yeah, I think it is beautiful. And I've tasted the coffee and it's good, so I can vouch for it. And when this does go out, I will definitely put all the relevant links in there too. Um, Wayne, I don't want to keep you. I know you've got two young kids and they're probably coming back from school. Um, so yeah, once again, Thank you for your time. I feel like I've gotten to know you a little bit better, and I hope the people listening to this will appreciate the depth of your story as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Saskia. It was wonderful to speak to you. Will you get a chance to share your story? Was someone going to kind of reflect it back and ask you the same questions?
Uh, yeah, maybe. I haven't thought about that actually. I kind of thought my story would, pop its head in all these different episodes a little bit, but maybe, yeah, maybe I should let somebody interview me at some point.